Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei went to I Frankenstein World and becomes Master of Gárgolas Movie. Before we start, please go support Guerrero Legends for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Issei Hyodou, the third son of the Hyodou family, is despised and mistreated along with his twin sister Izumi by his family, his childhood friend Irina and Sona Sitri, a girl he met one day when he was playing with his brothers and only for not being possessors of sacred gears. But one night Issei is thrown into a rift that opens every 10 years, but in the end they did not end up sending him to another dimension but to another time in which he will get the strength he wants to protect his beloved sister Izumi. Prologue. We can see how on a mountain full of snow there was what seemed to be a man carrying a man who seemed to be asleep. But it was not like that, since that man was dead and had died because of the immense cold that hit those hills. Narrates, "My name is Issei. I was brought back to life in the winter of 1799. I am a soulless living corpse that wanders thanks to the experiments of a sick old man. But that was not how my life began. It was in a very strange way that not even I can believe. It all started long before I became what I am now. More specifically, when I was 5 years old. Flashback year 2007. I played with my 4 brothers: Kuro, my older brother by 2 years, Yuka, who was older than me by a year, and Izumi, my twin sister, who despite being my twin was very beautiful. My brothers and I were very close, but more Izumi, since she always worried about me to the point of almost dying of embarrassment. Ha ha ha. Well, continuing with the story. My brothers and I played. Izumi and I were 5 years old, Yuka 6 and Juro 7. The 4 of us played quietly until a girl the same age as Yuka approached us timidly. If I remember correctly, her name was Rias Gremery. "Rias, excuse me, can I play with you?" she asked us while looking a little nervous. "Sure, my name is Hyodou Issei. They are my siblings Kuro, Yuka and Izumi," I said happily as I introduced my siblings. "Rias, seriously, thank you very much. Just give me a moment," she had told us while she began to jump. A few seconds passed, and we continued with our thing, but then we saw that Rias had returned with another girl with short black hair and violet eyes. "Rias, I want to introduce you to my friend Sona Sitri." We all greeted her, and she greeted us back, and that's how we became great friends. Izumi and I spent time playing with Rias, and from time to time we would read something while Kuro and Yuka spent time with Sona. We also introduced them to our friend Irina. I really enjoyed those moments full of happiness, but when I turned 7, we learned about the supernatural when Rias and Sona told us about the war of the factions, and showed us their demon wings. We were very impressed by that, but they had also told us something else, and it was that my brothers were carriers of some sacred gears. Kuro had something called the booster gear, and Yuka the diamond armor that allowed her to transform her body into diamond, granting her great resistance and strength. We were very impressed, I'm not going to deny it. "Izumi, incredible," she said with stars in her eyes. "And what sacred gear do I have?" Seeing my little sister so excited, I put on a smile because I liked to see her happy. That smile and her happiness was what I liked most in the world. But my smile changed to a serious face, and the reason was because I saw how Rias had a face full of sadness and Sona had a serious face but also one of displeasure. "Rias, I'm sorry Izumi," but she couldn't finish speaking because Sona interrupted her. "Sona, you and your brother don't have any special sacred gear," she said dryly. That didn't affect me at all, but I saw how Izumi started to cry. I hugged her to calm her down. But something told me that this was not going to improve in our life. I wish I had been wrong, since that day our family no longer treated us as part of it. We were just strangers to them, and that made me boil with anger, and not for me, but for my sister, since every time she approached them they simply ignored her. They even tried to hit her, but I always got in the way and received their blows. Sona was the same story, only she had to endure their magic attacks. I think Rias was the only one who supported us. "Rias, now that stupid Sona is over," she said angrily while bandaging me. "Ouch, and what is my fault?" I complained, since Rias had bandaged me more tightly. "Rias, I'm sorry Issei, it just makes me really angry what they do to you just for not carrying a sacred gear." "I don't care, I just want Izumi to be okay," I said while Rias stitched up some cuts. "Rias, I want you to promise me something." "Rias, what thing?" Take care of Izumi if something happens to me, I told him. Rias, what are you saying, Issei? You'll see that everything will get better. I just kept quiet and let her finish healing my wounds. After that I went home to be with Izumi before the Hyodou family arrived, but when I arrived I saw Izumi on the floor while crying and hugging something. I quickly approached but noticed that the Hyodou family was in the kitchen having dinner calmly with Sona. When I was next to my sister I saw what she had in her arms. It was the puppy that I had given her, all beaten up and showing no sign of life. Izumi, why? Why did they do it? Kuro, please shut up already, he said, annoyed. Were you the one who did this? I said, standing up and facing the pathetic excuse for a brother. Why did you do it? That dog had nothing to do with it. Yuka, I made that fool smile, so if I had to. I didn't let her finish because I grabbed her by the neck and lifted her up while hitting Kuro with great force, who hit his head on a piece of furniture and fell to the ground almost dead, but for a few seconds he managed to see a green sphere that came out of his body and entered Izumi's body, and I think I was the only one who saw it. Mr. Hyodou, put Yuka down now, trash. I ignored it and continued squeezing her neck, but then I felt as if something cold had pierced my body. I lowered my gaze and saw an ice spear piercing my heart. I saw the culprit, who was Sona, and in the end I fell to the ground, and the last thing I saw in that place was my little sister Izumi crying while she hugged me. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them again I was being dragged until I reached the center of the forest. It took about 2 minutes until a portal opened. Sona, it's time for you to disappear, damn it. This portal opens every 10 years, in short, we will never see you again, she said, throwing me into the portal. End flashback. And that's how I ended up here. I was supposed to be banished to another dimension, but instead I ended up banished to the past. When I arrived I was dead, but I was stitched up and reanimated back to life by a lunatic. Horrified by his creation, he tried to destroy me, but I survived and found a way to get revenge. A life for a life, that's what he wanted, and he takes the life of his beloved wife. He hunted me down to the north. I was immune to the cold, but he wasn't. I decided to bury him in his family cemetery. It was more than he deserved. I thought it was the end, but the truth is this was only the beginning. Normal narration. Issei began to bury Dr. Frankenstein's corpse while thinking about how to reunite with his sister, but his thoughts would be interrupted by 4 hooded men who were surrounding the brown-haired man, causing him to raise his guard while holding the shovel. Demon 1. We were waiting for you, he said, and then his face filled with flames, revealing a monster. You will come with us. Chapter 1. The brown-haired man was confused since he had not seen anything like it, since that man from one moment to the next had become a monster. But in that, one of the hooded men ran towards Issei and pushed him, sending him flying against the wall, destroying it. The brown-haired man tried to get up, but another of the hooded men kicked him, knocking him down again, and the third threw himself on top of him and began to squeeze his neck. Issei saw a crucifix and poked the demon in the eyes to get out of his grip. He took advantage of that and grabbed the crucifix and stuck it in his stomach, causing his body to catch fire and his soul to return to hell without knowing that he had caught the attention of something else. Issei got up, but before he could do anything, the other demon held him with a strange device, lifted him up and threw him to the ground roughly and began to kick him. Demon 1, stop, Navarius wants us to take him alive, he said, making his partner stop. But then a giant shadow took him away, and another one, only a little smaller, took the other one. The demon tried to escape, but the first shadow appeared behind the demon, and when the light cleared it was a large gargoyle. He began to take the form of a man, then looked up at the sky and saw his partner kill the remaining demon, and began to walk back to the cemetery. Kazuya, that was the last one, she said as she landed. What do you suppose it was? Ofer. I don't know, he said as they both walked towards Issei. I've never seen a human kill a demon, and with such force. It's been a long time since I saw a demon so far north. Kazuya, there must be something very special about him, something that Navarius wants. Ofer began to search Victor Frankenstein's corpse while Kazuya checked Issei for a pulse. Ofer had seen a diary and began to look through it, noticing something that shocked him. Ofer, so it's true, he said, looking at Issei. Kazuya, oh my god, he's alive, she said while observing that he was still breathing. He's alive. At that, Issei wakes up seeing that he was no longer in the cemetery but was in a dungeon being watched by Ofer and Kazuya while two other people enter. "Kazuya, your majesty." At that, the man steps aside, revealing a beautiful woman. "Gideon, it's nothing more than a wild animal, your majesty, let me destroy it." Issei, hearing that, gave a strong pull, almost breaking the chain, but in that Kazuya and Ofer put their weapons on the brunette's neck while shaking their heads. "Leonore, well, you have intelligence." "Issei, how did I get here? Where am I?" he asked, somewhat upset. "Leonore, what did the creatures that attacked you want?" "Issei, I don't know." "Ofer, we heard about Navarius." "Kazuya, it seems that she wants him alive." "Gideon, if she wants him alive, all the more reason to destroy her." Issei was going to break the chains to defend himself while Gideon took out his weapon, but they were stopped by Leonore. "Leonore, Gideon, stop." Gideon just stepped aside and the woman approached Issei and pushed aside his hair and looked into his eyes and noticed some shine in them as well as sadness and pain. "Leonore, him, no creature." 30 minutes later. "Leonore, my name is Leonore, Great Queen of the Order of the Gargoyles, Gideon, my most trusted warrior," she said while showing the brown-haired boy the place you were attacked by demons who are under the orders of the great demon prince Navarius. "Issei, demons?" "Leonore, that's right, perhaps you don't believe in them." "Issei, I know devils, but their faces didn't light up or have disgusting appearances," he said, remembering Rias. "Leonore, I understand, but luckily for you Ofer and Kazuya were nearby," she said, and the two mentioned nodded. "They recognized you and brought you here, to our home." At first the place seemed familiar to Issei until he finally remembered something, and it was his hometown, and in the middle of it was this great church. "Leonore, humans see us as mere decorations, they know nothing of the war that rages around them day in and day out. It is our sacred duty to wage war with the demons. Issei, if we compare your experience with devils and mine, there is a very clear difference." "Leonore, maybe, but I think you should stay here, you were already involved in this." "Issei, I'm not interested in human things," he said, starting to walk, passing by Leonore. "Leonore, I suppose Frankenstein didn't give you a name." "Issei, because I didn't need it, I already have it." "Leonore, and what is it?" "Issei, my name is Issei." "Leonore, okay Issei, but listen to this carefully, we all have a purpose in this life, yours has yet to be discovered." "Issei, I already have one," he said, calling the attention of the gargoyles. "Finding someone who means a lot to me," he said, leaving the room, leaving the gargoyles somewhat intrigued. "Leonore, Kazuya, Ofer, I want you to give him weapons so he can protect himself." The two mentioned just nodded and went for Issei to give him the weapons, while Leonore and Gideon went to the main hall. With Issei. "Ofer, these are some of the scapulars of our fallen brothers and sisters." "Kazuya, after difficult victories our army was reduced." "Ofer, but the demons remain strong, that is why our queen asked us to give you weapons," he said, opening a door. The three entered the room and Issei was surprised to see a large amount of weapons. "Ofer, demons can only be brought down by sacramentals, blessed objects, holy water, or crucifixes. Kazuya, any object can be made sacramental if marked with the blessed symbol of the gargoyles." Issei, decline? "Ofer, when a demon is killed, its soul descends to the depths of the underworld where it remains locked away for all eternity." "Issei, how do you say to a gargoyle?" "Kazuya, we are pure beings," she said, somewhat annoyed. "We ascend." "Ofer, and only beings that lack a soul can do so." At that point the chestnut would see a kind of short sticks and would take one to see it better. "Ofer, I don't recommend those to you," he said, drawing Issei's attention. "They are dull, rough, and extremely heavy." Issei ignored him and grabbed the other one, starting to move it with great majesty as if it weighed nothing, impressing Kazuya and Ofer. "Ofer, Issei, you have strength, speed and courage greater than that of a normal human, you can use them to take part in a war in which you are already involved." "Issei, as I said," he said while putting the Symphalo in his bag, "I have to look for someone." "Ofer, I understand." So Issei left the weapons room while Ofer and Kazuya thought about what to do now. With Leonore. "Gideon, I don't care how many demons he descended to, he complained he should have let me kill him. Leonore, it's not that I don't see the risk, Gideon. Maybe Michael didn't give him a soul to live on, but he did give him the ability to carry one. Gideon, he was not born by the grace of Michael or God. Leonore, either do we, Gideon, she said, causing Gideon to remain silent. I am surprised at what the man is capable of now, she said while looking at Victor Frankenstein's book. Keep it in the crypt. This must not fall into nefarious hands. Gideon, it's just a book, Your Majesty. Leonore, this is proof that God is no longer the sole creator of man, she said, making Gideon become serious as he looked at the book. Outside the church, Ofer and Keziah could be seen watching Issei walk away from there. Ofer, Issei, I shouted, calling him. If one day you need shelter, you will always be welcomed here. Issei just turned around and started walking as the gargoyles watched him leave, but Issei knew that in the future he had to return to face his past. Chapter 2. Narrates Issei. Trusting others is a mistake that is made only once, so I decided to go to the farthest corner of the earth where no man, gargoyle, or demon could find me, even though I knew that not only did I have to take care of them, there were also the angels, fallen, and yokais. So many years have passed that I lost count of time, but I still have not aged, nor died like humans. It is the curse that Victor Frankenstein left me. I thought that Nefarious and his demons had forgotten me, but I was wrong and unleashed all my anger against them. Normal narration. You could see in the middle of a forest 3 people who were surely demons. They were looking for a certain person who was very important to them, but they could only see one of their weapons, until a lightning bolt fell and revealed Issei, who was willing to kill the demons. He killed the first one by stabbing him with a small blade he had made with the gargoyle symbol, and the other 2 with the symphiles, making movements that they could not dodge or block. Issei narrates, he had been hiding for a long time. Now I wanted to hunt down those who were hunting me. I returned to the place I had left twice a long time ago, the human world. It had changed a lot since I left. I was already very used to the old times, but some things haven't changed. If the demons could find me in the middle of nowhere, it was only a matter of time before they could find me here, so I had to find them first. Also, I didn't feel very comfortable knowing that those monsters were in the same city where my little Izumi is, who, if I'm not mistaken in my calculations, should be 16 years old. So that's why I had to finish as soon as possible. Normal narration. Issei began to follow a man who acted more normal than necessary, but he had not realized that the other 2 subjects who accompanied him had their eyes shine orange like the volcano. The brown-haired man had left the place through the back door, but he had lost the subject. Even so, he continued walking until he reached an alley, knowing that he was not alone. The subject, who was a demon, tried to surprise him from behind, but Issei took out his weapons and crashed him into a garbage container. Issei, Nefarious, where is he? He asked while Demon just growled at him. Police, stay still, he said, making Issei try to kill the demon. Quickly lower your weapon. Issei was going to kill the demon, but he broke free from his hold and killed the policeman. And that 2 other demons appear and try to attack, but Issei in the back and then hit him in the face with his weapons, killing him, and the other hit him 2 times in the face, also killing him. The third started to run, while Issei went after him. In that, the demon climbed a wall and Issei climbed a fire escape, but the demon jumped to the other side while Issei was just going up the building and saw him enter a building, but in that he would be taken by surprise by a gargoyle. Issei, with the devil, what I needed, he shouted while being carried by the gargoyle. Meanwhile, Club of the Occult. We can see all the members of the Occult Club gathered together as they investigate the murders that had taken place over the past 4 years. Aquino, several sleepless nights, and we haven't found out anything, she said while she had dark circles under her eyes and her hair was disheveled. Kiba, same here, he said while trying not to sleep. Kaneko, zzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzz. Aquino, someone can wake her up. Asia, I'm coming, saying that she touched her shoulder only to be sent flying by a punch from the white-haired girl. Kiba, I'll go get her. Then a certain red-haired woman would enter with more documents, while she had a smile. Rias, hi guys, I greet you with a smile. Kiba/Aquino, hello Bicho. Asia/Kaneko, zzzzzzzzzzzzzzz. Rias, it's obvious that they are very tired. Kiba, I'll take them to the club rooms, he said, dragging the two of them while trying not to fall asleep. Akino, and where is Izumi? Rias, I had a presentation to give tonight, about how life begins and how it ends, or at least that was what I understood. Akino, I see. Hey, can I ask you a question? Rias, yes, of course, she said while arranging the documents on her desk. Akino, why do you hate Sona Sitri so much? Rias at that question just stood still as her smile turned into a look of pure hatred. Akino, well, if you don't want to answer that then. Rias, please Akino, sit down, this is a very long and painful story for me. Akino just nodded and sat down on one of the armchairs while Rias proceeded to tell her about her childhood and how she met Izumi and her best friend Issei. But they didn't know that Kiba was also listening to them and was paying close attention to that since he was also very curious. While with Izumi, she was in the building where the demon Issei was chasing had entered giving a presentation. Izumi, good evening Mr. Wessex, tonight we will put to the test what are 3 years of achievements of research work. Wessex, time is money Miss Izumi, I recommend you don't make me waste mine. Izumi, okay she said and then went to a computer. Let's start with the resuscitation sequence. At that point, his co-worker begins entering some codes into his computer to start the resuscitation sequence. Scientist, the amplifying electrodes are in place, the generators are calibrated, the pacemaker is in the right ventricle. Izumi, energy is at 3 yuns, patient's heart is still, current is turned on at 321. Scientist, the current is turned on. An electric current then passes around the cylinder where the test rat was. Scientist, torso and leg spasms are fine. Izumi, I detect electric current in the cells. Scientist, he's having a heart attack. Izumi, increase the current to 50. Scientist, at 50 volts, the heart rate increases, there is no defibrillation. Izumi, double it. Scientist, the current is at 100%, the pulse is decreasing. Izumi, duplicate it again. Scientist, I can't. Izumi, I said double it. Scientist, it will kill him. Izumi, he's already dead. His partner doubled the current so that the electrical energy would stop passing through the cylinder, leaving the rat pulseless. After a few seconds, the patient's pulse returned to normal, making them both very happy and attracting Wessex attention. He gave a slight smile, but that smile was erased when he heard something from his security guards. Guard, sir, we have a problem. Wessex just got up and went to his office where one of his men was waiting for him. 10 minutes later. Wessex, are you sure? Demon, no sir, but his attack is solid and strong like a gargoyle. He went down on 7 of us. I was able to avoid it. I think I hurt him. I think he is hurt. Wessex, he took down 7 of us and you escaped? Demon, I thought you wanted to hear that. Wessex, and I heard you presume you know what I want. Demon, well, if you consider how much time he spends hunting the creature. Wessex, and you thought I wanted to hear that, instead of you bringing it to me. Fine, he said to turn around, but he hit him. Don't presume what I want to know, did you understand that? Demon, yes Prince Navarius, he said with some fear as he knelt before Navarius. Chapter 3. In the central church of the great city of Kwa, a gargoyle could be seen approaching while in its closet brought Issei, who was trying to free himself, but what they did not realize is that a demon who was under Navarius' orders was watching them from the shadows, and then retreated from the place so as not to be discovered. The gargoyle flew to a tower and took Issei, and only to then return to its human form, revealing that it was Ophir. Issei Ophir, if you believe. It didn't end there when more men appeared and put locks on Issei's feet, then pulled him and threw him to the ground. At that, Kazuya and Ophir put chains on both of Issei's arms, but it was clear that Ophir didn't want to do it, then pulled the chains, causing him to start levitating. Ophir, Gideon, do it. At that, Gideon put an iron collar on Issei's neck. Issei, no, he said, trying to free himself, no. At Kwa Academy Hidden Club, we can see Rias and Akino sitting in the great club room while drinking some tea, although it was seen that Rias had a serious expression and Akino had a sad one. Akino, I'm really sorry Rias, I didn't know, I'm really sorry. Rias, Don't worry, Akino, she said while looking at a small photo she had of her with Issei. I miss him so much, she said, shedding many tears. But what the two didn't realize was that Izumi had returned from her performance, and was shedding several tears as she remembered all the moments she spent with her older brother. With Issei, he was in a room chained to a chair while thinking about a certain brunette and redhead, but then he sees the door open, seeing that it was Leonore, Gideon, Ofer, and Kazuya. Leonore, our war must be fought in the shadows. It is not a battlefield for you to act at, will I claim. Issei, I descend from demons, don't I? Leonore, don't pretend that you're doing this for us or for humanity. You only care about yourself, Issei. Gideon, did you know that a human died in that alley today? Issei, I didn't kill him. Gideon, your actions were the direct cause of that. Issei, I'll be more careful from now on. Gideon, there will be no next time. You will remain here until the queen decides what to do with you. Issei, you can't have me here, Leonore. Leonore, I don't want to risk them releasing you on the streets of this city. Issei, my life is only mine. You will not take it from me. Leonore, your life was not given to you by the grace of God. It was manufactured in a laboratory, and until you learn how to manage it, I will do whatever is necessary. Issei, then you are no better than Rias. Leonore for a moment changed her face to that of a gargoyle, but saw that Issei did not flinch. Leonore, when I met you, my first idea was to destroy you, she said, returning to normal, but then I saw your eyes. Do you want to know what I saw in them? She said, calming Issei a little. Not a soul, but the capacity for one, but now I only see darkness. Issei, I don't know any other life. I don't remember my parents giving me their love when I was a child, nor my brothers giving me their support, he said, drawing everyone's attention. Only blows, insults, and humiliations. When he said that, everyone was a little thoughtful but decided to put it aside and leave there, leaving Issei. In the laboratory, Rias could be seen in a large office with his layers in human forms, while in front of them was the demon who had observed the gargoyles and Issei. Demon 1, how do you plan to remove the creature from the cathedral? I asked seriously. The gargoyles will protect it just like one of them. Zuriel, yes, and I hope so, he said, drawing the demon's attention. Our descents will be abundant but necessary. Rias, Zuriel, none of my legions have ever had a brave commander like you. Would they have sacrificed themselves with such courage and desire for someone like that? You know what this could mean to them, don't forget that. Now bring me Frankenstein's monster. While in the cathedral, many gargoyles in their human form could be seen gathered together, while two hooded ones walked towards Leonore, who had a smile. Leonore, welcome to Qua. 1. Thank you very much for giving us hospitality here, Mrs. Leonore. Leonore, could you tell us your names, please? 2. Of course, my name is Zenobia Cordes, she said, taking off her hood. 1. My name is Irina Shidu, she said as well, taking off her hood. Leonore, wow, they are so pretty, please let me guide you. Both, thank you very much. So Leonore guided them through the entire cathedral, while Zenobia was amazed, but Irina was thinking about the Hyodou family, but more about certain chestnuts that she humiliated and mistreated, thinking about how to ask them for forgiveness. But then a guard approached her queen with not very good news. Gargoyle, my lady, the demons are gathering outside the cathedral. Leonora, how many are there? Kazuya, 50 or more. This worried the exorcists a lot, but they decided to help in this battle as well. Leonore, Ofer, you and Kazuya protect Issei now, I order. Irina, did he say Issei? She thought, surprised. I also want to go with them, she said, surprising everyone. Leonore, okay, go with them. So the three of them retreated to the chamber where they had Issei. Zenobia, you go with Gideon in front. Zenobia just listened as she retreated with Gideon, but saw that the Gargoyle Queen was going somewhere else, but decided to leave it aside and go with the commander to one of the towers, watching many demons approaching the cathedral. With Irina, she was with Ofer and Kazuya while she thought that she could finally see her childhood friend, but the moment they arrived at the place she saw Issei and was shocked by how he looked. Issei, why, he said it with great hatred. Irina, Issei? Is that you? Kazuya, wait, do you both already know each other? She asked, very confused, until a loud bang was heard throughout the cathedral. Ofer, I think this is not the time for that, he said, closing the door and taking out his weapon, as did Kazuya and Irina, but the latter felt sadness seeing how Issei looked at her with hatred. Irina, sorry, it was the only thing she thought before hearing the bang again, only louder. Chapter 4. The Gargoyles were preparing to fight and defend the cathedral against a large horde of demons whose purpose was Issei, who was the first man they revived without a soul. The first group of gargoyles immediately went on the attack to prevent them from reaching their objective. The first group of gargoyles easily eliminated the demons without knowing that it was only a distraction to make way for the next horde of demons who were on the roofs waiting for the signal from their companions until they saw how the souls of the demons descended. Zuriel, it's time to move forward, don't stop until you reach the creature, he said as his face became engulfed in flames and his horde began to advance towards the cathedral. The first group of gargoyles had eliminated the first horde of demons only to see more demons appear from the roofs of the buildings. Not seeing any opportunity to retreat, the gargoyles decided to try to hold back the demons by eliminating a large number of them. With Leonore, she was inside the cathedral praying that her people could resist this great evil that threatens them. Leonore, by the power of God, may they go down to hell with Satan and the evil spirits, I prayed as I waited for what would happen. In the fight, the first group of gargoyles had trouble holding back the demons until they could no longer take it and were eliminated. While their souls ascended to heaven, Gideon took out an iron handle and then took out his blades and created a kind of axe while the demons invaded the cathedral. Gideon, give them no quarter, he said as his fellow gargoyles took out their weapons. Kill as many of them as you can, he said as Zenobia took out an Excalibur. They are our only defense. This is their sacred task. Gargoyles began to fight the demons with the intention of making them retreat, but some had managed to enter. Gideon began to defend the cathedral with his companions and Zenobia. But then a small group entered with Gideon, and he used all his strength to make them retreat until he got them out and transformed into a gargoyle, while his companions and Zenobia stayed in the tower containing the others without realizing that some managed to outwit them and went to where they had Issei locked up. With Issei, he was watching as the demons tried to break down the door while Ofer, Kazuya, and Irina took out their weapons to defend themselves. Issei, Ofer, give me a weapon, let me defend my life. Ofer and Kazuya just looked at each other while Irina looked at Issei with concern. In that, Ofer cuts Issei's ties and hands him one of his blades to defend himself. Irina, Issei, don't do it, you can, she said, grabbing him by the arm. Issei, I'm not the same idiot child you hurt before, Shida, he said, and then grabbed her arm tightly. And don't think I've forgotten what you did to my little Izumi, he said, and then pushed her. We'll fix that later. Ofer and Kazuya did not understand why he had a grudge against the girl, but they saw him approach and hit her, making a sound and pushing the demons back. Then he tore her off and began to push Nefarious' men, making them retreat. Ofer, Kazuya and Irina began to counterattack. Everyone in the cathedral was fighting to resist the invasion of the demons of Nefarious with great bravery and honor, but unfortunately Kazuya had been injured by one of them, worrying Ofer, but that distraction was taken advantage of by a demon who attacked treacherously. Kazuya, Ofer. Ofer began to be enveloped by a white light, and then his soul ascended. Issei, seeing this, began to mercilessly kill all the demons that approached while Irina approached Kazuya to try to help her. But then the midnight bells rang, causing the demons to retreat from the place. Gargoyle 1, hey girl, he said, getting Zenovia's attention, go with your friend. Gargoyle 2, we'll take care of them. Saying that, they both left the tower and began to transform into gargoyles and fly towards the demons that were escaping, while Zenovia went to where her partner was. With Issei, he was still fighting against the demons that were trying to take him away. Irina, calm down. Hold on, she said while trying to help Kazuya. But then a demon tried to attack her from behind but was intercepted by Zenovia, who pierced him with her Excalibur. Zenovia, Irina, don't be distracted, she said, blocking some of the demon's attacks. But then he saw how Issei also defended himself from those beings with great agility and strength, and when there were none left, the brown-haired boy quickly approached Kazuya. Issei, Kazuya, don't worry, I'll find a way to save you. Kazuya, no, I want to be with Ofer. The order does not allow it, she said weakly. This is how we can do it. Saying that, a light began to surround her until her soul ascended. Zenovia, is that the creature they sent you to protect? She asked in a whisper. Irina, He is not a creature, he is my friend, his name is Issei. Zenobia only saw the brown-haired boy, but then they saw a demon trying to escape. The blue-haired boy was going to kill him but was stopped by the brown-haired boy, who grabbed him by the neck and slammed him against the wall. Issei, tell me where Navirius is. Demon, they're waiting for you. Issei, what do you mean? Demon, we knew the gargoyles would do anything to keep you out of Navirius' hands, but in the heat of battle they left their greatest treasure defenseless. Issei, Leonore, he said seriously. Demon, that's right, ha ha ha. With Leonore, she was in the main room of the chair until the stained glass window broke, revealing Zuriel, who grabbed her by the neck. Zuriel, you and I will take a walk, he said, taking the one from the cathedral. With Issei, he had tied the demon with some chains while Zenobia and Irina watched what the brown-haired boy was doing. Issei, where did they take her? Demon, why do you care? She just hates you. You are nothing to her but another human mistake, ha 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 ha, he said with venom in his words. Issei hit him in the face, drawing blood. Demon, we know what your story is, monster. Banished from your time when you were a child, sent to the past where you died and were revived by Victor Frankenstein, and all thanks to the fact that you were not the bearer of a sacred gear, ha ha ha, he said with venom, while Issei remembered his past, and the girls listened attentively, but Irina felt her heart tighten as she remembered the time she humiliated Issei. What was that demon's name? Like that Sona Sitri, she said, receiving another blow from Issei. Issei, don't say that stupid name again, he said angrily. Demon, so what do you think of the Hyodou family, ha 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 ha, he said evilly. Issei, already tired of hearing that, grabbed the demon and began to drag him until they reached a small well full of holy water. Issei, where is it? I asked, threatening to put his face in the water. Demon, at Qua's theater. Gideon will take you in exchange for Leonore, but I'm sure you won't go to save her. Issei, what assures you of that? Demon, Kokubile plans to attack the academy very soon, he said, impacting the three, so you decide, Leonore or your little sister Izumi, ha 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 ha. Issei already had enough. He sank his face into the holy water and then slammed it face first into the wall, killing the demon's soul as he screamed in pain. Issei, come down painfully, he said, very annoyed as he left there with the exorcists, who were somewhat shocked by how cruel the brown-haired boy was with the demon. Chapter 5. Our protagonist could be seen walking very stealthily through the dark streets of the city of Kwa while he watched the gargoyles fly in the sky towards the cathedral. The brown-haired boy decided to enter a somewhat old and forgotten building in which Zenobia and Irina were. The tails were sitting on the floor. Zenobia, so, what's the plan? Issei, you will do what you have to do, he said, taking his weapons. I will go for Leonore. Irina, wait, don't you want ours? Issei, you better shut your mouth. I still remember how you and that dirty family humiliated me and my sister. Zenobia, what does Irina mean? Issei, didn't you tell him? Irina, hey, this me. Issei, do you really think you deserve to be an angel after all the sins you've committed? Irina, Issei. Issei, you only deserve to rot in the streets while that dream of yours slowly fades away. After saying that, Irina just falls to her knees while crying her eyes out because it was true. She did not deserve that honor. She did not deserve to be with the angels after the sins she committed. Zenobia, tell me, why did you say those things to him? She asked while putting her sword on the brunette's neck. Issei, because it's the truth, he said while removing the tip of the sword with his blade. She, along with the Hyodou family, beat me, humiliated me, tortured me as if it were just a game to them. Zenobia turned to look at Irina, who just looked away while still crying, making Zenobia see that what she said was true. Zenobia, I apologize to you, she said, putting away her sword and bowing. Issei, I'm not interested, he said, turning around to leave. Zenobia, please let us help you, she said, holding his arm. Issei, why should I trust you? Zenobia, don't do it. I will earn your trust myself. After saying that, the brown-haired boy turned to look at her, but in doing so he got lost in her beautiful amber eyes while she also got lost in his hazel eyes that, although they showed that he had no soul, they still showed that he still had some humanity. Issei, stay here, he said to break free from the blue-haired girl's grip. Zenobia, but... Issei, I'll be back, just wait here. After saying that, he left the building while leaving Zenobia inside, who had a small blush on her cheeks, and Irina, who saw everything that happened between the two of them and felt a horrible pain in her heart. With Issei, he was walking through the streets of Kwa very stealthily towards the old theater, but when he was near the entrance, he could see a gargoyle flying above him, so without further ado he entered, seeing Leonore being held by the neck by Zuriel, who was looking at the ceiling, which made a hole for Gideon to come out. Zuriel, stay where you are, Gideon. Gideon, your majesty, are you okay? Leonore, Gideon, you shouldn't have come. Zuriel, drop your weapons, Gideon. Gideon, I come unarmed, just as you ordered. Zuriel, where is the creature? Gideon, I don't know, when we arrived he had already escaped. Zuriel was going to proceed to kill Leonore, causing Issei to almost come out of his hiding place to avoid that, but then Gideon spoke. Gideon, wait, he shouted as he took something out of his pocket. I brought something else, he said, taking out a book. Leonore, Gideon, don't do it. Gideon, this is Victor Frankenstein's diary, he said, drawing the attention of Zuriel and Issei. This is where Victor Frankenstein wrote down every step, every follow-up he took to create and bring his abomination to life. Issei, what? He asked in a whisper. Gideon, I hope this can save my queen. Leonore, Gideon, I order you to hide the journal and let me ascend. Gideon ignored his words and left the journal at Zuriel's feet, who smiled. Zuriel, I am a demon of the word, Gideon. After saying that, he threw Leonore to Gideon, who caught her in his arms and took out his wings to proceed to leave from there. But before Zuriel left, Issei appeared, who did not look very happy, to say the least. In that, several demons of Nibirius appeared which tried to capture him, but the brown-haired boy defended himself with great ease while Zuriel ran out of the place with the diary. Issei, you're not going to leave that easily. After saying that, he began to chase Zuriel without him noticing. At Ko Academy, in the old building, Rias was being accompanied by Asia, Kaneko, and Izumi as they continued to investigate the strange murders until Sona entered with her entourage. Sona, hello Rias, she said with a smile. Rias, what do you want here, Sona? He said seriously without turning to look at her. Sona, I just wanted to stop by and say hi. Rias, okay, you already said hello, there's the door, she said, pointing to the door for them to leave. Kuro, hey, don't talk to Kai like that. Akino, mind your words like Issei Hyodou, he said it in an equally serious manner. Yuka, hi little sister, she said nervously. Izumi, what do you want, Yuka Hyodou? She said seriously and angry. Yuka, well, and I just wanted to ask you out, she said very nervously. Some guys invited me to go to karaoke and one of them wants to meet you. Izumi, I don't want to go anywhere with you, Hyodou. Kuro, hey, apologize to your sister now. Izumi, she's not my sister either, are you? Sona, but you're a Hyodou. Izumi, no, I am a Gremry, she said seriously. Besides, they stopped being my brothers when they decided to throw my brother into that portal that I answered them. Tsubaki, Kaisho, what are you talking about? Sona, well. Rias, so you still haven't told them. But before anyone could say anything else, Izumi's cell phone rang and she grabbed a jacket and walked to the exit. Asia, Izumi-san, what's wrong? Izumi, I'm needed in the lab. Yuka, you work in a laboratory? Kuro, and why did you never tell us? Izumi, why should I tell you, if we are nothing? Rias, you better go see what your classmates want, Izumi. Izumi, of course, Issei, he said, leaving the place. Tsubasa, I think we should go too, Kaicho. Sona, you're right, Tsubasa. Saying that, the entire student council left the place, leaving the occult club, who continued with their thing, although Asia and Kaneko were somewhat confused about what had happened. Chapter 6. Wissek's laboratory. Zuriel was arriving at the laboratory, although in reality it was almost a mansion. Zuriel passed by a man who seemed to be examining a corpse and took out a card to activate an elevator to the basement. What he did not realize is that Issei followed him the whole time and saw how he headed to the basement. The brown-haired man approached very carefully and silently to grab the neck of the man who was examining the corpse, took the access card from him and proceeded to decapitate him, revealing that he was a demon. Issei, time to enter, he said while using the card to enter the building. In the basement, Nibirius was standing next to a man looking at a corpse while many screens were in front of them, some showing some codes and others images like surveillance cameras. Man, this body arrived this morning, he said while examining the body. The morgue sold it to us. The liver is ruined, but the other organs are not. Nibirius, keep it with the rest, he said while watching Zuriel hand him the diary. And what is this? Zuriel, this is Victor Frankenstein's journal. It explains how he created and brought his creature back to life, he explained while Nibirius reviewed the journal. This is much better for us. It is the only thing we need to bring back our fallen ones. Nibirius, let the humans decide that. Saying that, the two began to walk towards an entrance that was covered by a white plastic. Issei, who had just arrived, observed how the two demons were leaving the place, so he proceeded to follow them very stealthily so that they would not discover him. Upon reaching the other side of the plastic, he saw how the elevator was going up to the 5th floor, but then he saw something that caught his attention. He began to walk past the elevator only to see many corpses hanging around a large machine. Issei, this has to be a joke, he said, seeing the large number of corpses around him. In the lab, Izumi and her coworker were analyzing some algorithms, as well as some data related to their project when Nibirius arrived with Victor Frankenstein's diary. Nibirius, I ask about what Frankenstein created, he said, approaching Izumi. I brought you something much more edifying, he said, giving her the diary. Izumi, it can't be Frankenstein, she said, very surprised. Nibirius, he said there should be a record of his work. Izumi, where did you get it? Scientist, and is it real? Nibirius, tell me yourselves, he said, and then left the place, leaving Izumi and his partner, who proceeded to read the diary. Cathedral. Leonore was looking at the place where Issei was chained when she had him locked up, but then Gideon arrived, holding in his hands the robes of his companions and brothers who had fallen during the demon's attack. Gideon, we lost 16 good warriors all. Leonore, it was a mistake to have him here. Gideon, this was because of the creature, not you, otherwise you would have returned. Leonore, we should never have kept the diary. Gideon, what he did was for the good of humanity, but now that the creature knows of the journal's existence. Leonore, why do you always have to call him creature? Gideon, now that he knows about the journal, what does he propose? Leonore, find Issei, she said, leaving the room. Put every gargoyle on every roof of the city, she ordered. Gideon, and after that, will more lives of our brothers and sisters be sacrificed, or will Nibirius be denied his prey as should have been the case many years ago? Leonore, maybe Michael didn't give him the second chance he has now, but he did allow him to live for more than 200 years against all odds, she said, silencing Gideon. In the Wissek's laboratory. Izumi, so what are you doing? Eels? She said while reading Victor Frankenstein's diary. Scientist, what thing? Izumi, he used eels to revive his creation. Scientist, well, eels create a lot of energy throughout their body, he said, standing next to Izumi. How long do I use the discharge? Izumi, 5 seconds every 3 downloads. Scientist, that's more than 100,000 volts, he said in amazement. Enough to electrocute an elephant. Izumi, just imagine, with all that energy running through his veins, fueling his metabolism. Just think, how long could such a being have lived? Scientist, and if that energy runs through your body, what would destroy it? In Wisek/Nibirius's office, Issei had entered very carefully, trying not to be seen by anyone. He began to look everywhere for the diary until he finally saw the window where the laboratory was seen, seeing Izumi with the diary. Izumi, look at their eyes, they are very beautiful, the way they look at you. Scientist, maybe Frankenstein drew them like that to make them look very realistic. Izumi, how about we start a test for? It didn't end as Issei had gone through the glass, falling to his feet in front of the brunette, who was very shocked to have Victor Frankenstein's creation in front of her. The brunette proceeded to walk towards her while she was still standing in the same place, looking at him with great astonishment. Issei, being a few centimeters in front of her, extended his hand for Izumi to give him the diary, which she did immediately. but when he turned to see her again he felt like he already knew her, but he didn't remember where from until several guards entered the place, beginning to corner the brunette, causing him to be against the window that faced the street. "Nibirius, leave him alone," he shouted as he entered the place. "I'm sorry for the behavior of my security agents, but if you had knocked on the door, maybe this situation would have been avoided." "Issei, who are you?" "Nibirius, Charles Wessex, and I assume you must be Frankenstein." "Issei, my name is Issei," he said, making Izumi look at him. "Nibirius, oh sure, I know about your past, mistreated and humiliated by your family just for not carrying a sacred gear, exiled from your own timeline by the current heiress Sitri, revived by Victor Frankenstein," he said, making Izumi look at him with more disbelief as well as happiness. "I know all that. Why? Not long ago I discovered the supernatural, and I also see that you met our great doctor," he said, making Issei look at Izumi. "She is Izumi Gremery, the current Hyodou, but maybe you knew her as Izumi Hyodou, your dear sister Izumi Hyodou." "Issei Izumi?" he asked incredulously. "Izumi, is it really you, Issei?" "Nibirius, stay, and we will help you get the answers you want. We will help you make your purpose known," he said, grabbing the brown-haired man by the shoulder. But Issei saw how his eyes turned black for a moment, and then saw Zuriel run towards him, so without further ado he jumped out the window, falling onto the street, and began to run while he kept the diary in his trench coat, and was seen by Nibirius and Zuriel, who had a serious face while Izumi had many tears falling down her face after meeting her older brother. Chapter 7. Izumi, seeing her dear brother alive and also observing how her boss knew him and the way he spoke to him, said that he had several answers regarding the questions that invaded her when she saw her dear older brother standing in front of her. Now she was walking through the halls of the great building belonging to the great Charles Wessex, or better known as Nibirius. She urgently needed answers and she was going to get them at any cost. After several minutes of walking she saw her boss in front of her with her most faithful security agents. She was going to talk to her boss until she heard what they were talking about. "Zuriel, he will return, believe me." "Agent, why is Stan sure?" "Zuriel, I've been chasing the creature for most of its life. It will return." "Nibirius, why?" "Zuriel, he wants answers and there is only one person who can give them to him." "Nibirius, Miss Gremery," he said before seeing how the aforementioned one came out of her hiding place and approached them. "Izumi, Mr. Wessex, I need you to tell me what happened?" "Nibirius, well, Miss Izumi, I know you have many questions, but for now I need you to go with your family and rest," he said as he proceeded to look at her face. "I swear that I will have your answers when we recover the diary, or your brother." "Izumi, excuse me, but you're right, he is my brother and I need those answers to my questions now." "Zuriel, Miss Gremery, please listen to Mr. Wessex." "Izumi, excuse me, who are you?" "Nibirius, this is Zuriel, my head of security." "Izumi, well, your security chief just scared away living proof of the scientist Victor Frankenstein, and besides the fact that he was my older brother, you also knew very well what happened to him and who he was." "Nibirius, Miss Gremery, I swear that I will give you your answers soon. For now rest. When we find your brother we will let you know," he said, turning his back to the Gremery, who was going to protest until her cell phone started ringing, causing her to answer. "Izumi, Rias, what's wrong?" "Rias, Izumi, I need you to come back to the club, something important happened." Izumi, upon hearing that, immediately decided to leave the place, leaving only the demons, who began to remove all the facilities to be safer since they would not doubt that Issei would be able to give their location to the Gargoyle Legion. With Izumi, she had left the facilities and began to walk in the direction of the occult club, but what she had not realized was that she was being followed by Issei, who had a sad look since he did not think he would see his dear younger sister again sooner than he expected, but now that he saw her, and knew what she was involved in, he had the need to protect her, as he always did when they were children, but now he had to go somewhere else. Abandoned building. 25 minutes later, Irina and Zenobia could be seen to be somewhat bored. They had already waited too long since Issei left. An overwhelming silence reigned between them as Zenobia did not want to even look at her ex-friend after knowing her horrible past. Already being more tired of waiting, she decided to go out to stand guard, but when she opened the door she saw a huge figure standing in front of her, and gave it a strong blow, causing the identity of that person to be revealed, which was Issei. "Issei, what's wrong with you?" he asked in a complaining manner while rubbing his jaw. "Zenobia, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? You scared me." "Issei, I told you I would return as soon as possible." Zenobia sighed. "Well, how did it go?" "Issei, apart from that, he managed to find out Nibiria's hiding place and also what he was doing," he said as he began to search through his clothes. "I managed to recover this," he said, showing the diary. "Irina, and what is that?" I asked, trying to get on topic but only earning silence. "Zenobia, what is this, and what does Nibirius want it for?" "Issei, this is Victor Frankenstein's diary." "Zenobia, Victor Frankenstein's diary? Where does it contain all the steps on how he created you?" she said, starting to look at the contents of the diary. "Issei, that's right." "Zenobia, and what do you want it for?" "Issei, I'm getting an idea," he said, taking the diary and putting it away, "but for now we have to take care of another problem," he said as he started walking to the door. "Zenobia, what kind of problem?" she asked, and then saw a purple flash through the window which disappeared. "Issei, a cadre-level problem. Let's go already," he said, leaving the room, followed by Zenobia and Irina, so he could solve this small problem and then focus on the real problem they have, without knowing that this would only be the beginning of what Issei really had to face, his past and his destiny.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.